vying for the position of your vice chancellor, usually they will advertise. They will say, show evidence of administrative experience as a professor. People will know that you've had some form of academic excellence. But all professors are not the same. So I think that when I was there as a consultant, and I knew one of the candidates, or maybe one or two of them. I think I knew the candidate that came first, that's Babalola, and the person that the runner-up. And at some point, we needed to review the whole process. Say, yes, this person came first. Are there other issues we need to consider? Because when you see selection is not necessarily because of merit. You need to understand that. You could be a first-class scholar. You could tick all the boxes, but you might have a deficiency elsewhere. If, for example, now I had to make a choice, as I told you, between someone who did well, he came joint first with another person, but this other person has experience, he has run an organization bigger than a department, and this person just coming on board as a head of department. I would prefer the person who had run a bigger organization, because you can only give what you have. So, but in her own case, she ticked all the boxes. I'm saying this now. I mean, her tenure is over, she's not here. And even if you're seated, I will say the same. She scored, she had the highest number of points. She had one distinction for me, because as a person with experience in the system, I could rate and rank people objectively. If you're a scholar, you can rise to the rank of a professor. Then you add years, 10 years as professor and all that, you can have that. But you must also have got the fellowship of your academy. She is a member of the Academy of Science. I'm a member of the Academy of Letters. I got my fellowship as a fellow in 2011. Then she got hers subsequently. If you don't have the fellowship of your academy, you could be a professor. But if two of you tied and someone has, that person has won. Because particularly for the Academy of Science, to get a fellowship is not a stroll in the park. So I saw that. But more important than that, she got the fellowship of the African Academy of Science, continental. And if you go around Nigeria, there are just a handful of professors who have both the FAS, that is a Fellow of Academy of Science, and FAAS, Fellow Academy of African Science, African Academy of Science. So, for me, in that regard, she was already a winner. But she interviewed well, as you might expect. The personal qualities she was bringing to it, which we later got to see in action, those qualities were apparent. All these things I'm talking about soft infrastructure, and well, you call them soft skills now. So I think that there was a consensus at the time that she was the best candidate. However, we needed also to still review the process to say, is there anything that could disqualify this person? Is there anything that could make her less qualified than this person that came second? And on all those grounds, we ticked her first, and there wasn't any controversy. And her CV spoke for her. You know, some people have good CV, but they cannot speak for themselves. So it wasn't a question of packaging, because some people will say, go help me package. And then you say, speak to your CV, you cannot say anything. So I think she stood her ground, she defended, she demonstrated ability to lead. And then, of course, we were proved right by the circumstances at the time. One thing that struck me about Professor Babalola's tenure, which I would call impact, is the remarkable turnaround in the fortunes of the university in two respects, both of which are student related now. Number one, student enrollment. Our enrollment was scandalous. In fact, you could see that the first convocation graduated just 7 students. She called them 7 stars. And then the number increased and all that. But see where we are today, all in a space of about 7 years. So in terms of impact, we can see the impact. You can see the number of students, in terms of student enrollment. That you will see. The second, which is also an extension of that, is that the opinion of stakeholders, external stakeholders, matters a lot. And here we are talking about regulatory bodies, those who maintain what we call quality control. In this case, every university lives or dies
on the basis of the accreditation status of its programs. When she got there, I'm not saying this to discredit those who said before her. I'm talking about what she inherited and what she did with what she inherited. Today now the programs are accredited, fully accredited. In some universities, when I took over, with due respect, we had issues with accreditation, we had the interim. But over time, slowly we had all of them fully accredited. It takes a lot of effort to get programs accredited. That's the second thing I'm talking about. I've spoken about student enrollment, I've spoken about the status of academic programs. One thing that also Babalola has brought to Chrisland, which is not so patent, is the social capital that is brought into the job. Your social capital is about your social networks. Who do you know? Who do you say, come to Macedonia and help us, and they will arrive, riding and bringing the cavalry. From what you can see, I'm talking of impact now, the quality and number of speakers that she's brought, the people that have brought endowment, the endowments will not even be in billions now. Sometimes the endowment may not even be in cash. But one thing about endowment, one thing about bringing people, is that you win goodwill. You enhance the reputation of the university. So that the university that people didn't really hear much about suddenly gets into the news. And people are wondering, where is this university? And I think also another thing that I've noticed is about the quality of staff. I mean, right now we're talking of academic staff delivering inaugural lectures. You could not deliver an inaugural lecture without first of all being a professor in that university. You can't be a professor here and deliver your inaugural lecture elsewhere. So the fact that the university has been able to recruit its own professors, and of course other staff, associate professors, senior lecturers and all that, means that there is something that is there that attracts people in the first instance, and that is also there to retain them there. Because staff turnover is a big problem. If there's a high turnover of staff, the university now gets a very bad reputation. They say, oh, that place is a transit camp. Just stay there 1 year and then take off. Whatever they offer, you use it to negotiate elsewhere. But I'm glad also that the quality of staff is right. Look at Professor Ayodeji with the experience. Professor Ayodeji, by the way, was my senior here. He was already a senior lecturer when I got here in 1887, though he left there shortly afterwards. Professor Ayodeji, his former VC, was my contemporary as the Vice Chancellor, and he is there now in the mass comm department. Those are the people that I know personally. So, but you also see others. There's this lady that has just become professor of her book is here, professor of criminology, John Mbagu. This was somebody that taught at Caleb before I left. After I left, and then now, and I thought that if she was going to go to another place, it was Chrisland. I didn't impose her on Chrisland, and people should understand I have never asked the BC to employ anyone. The BC has had a free hand in employing the people, but you need to commend her for always bringing on board those, in my opinion, that have done the university very proud by the quality of their scholarship and their visibility. It's not enough to just say I'm employing professors. If you have professors who are not who are Nigerian professors, and they are not professors in Nigeria, please understand. One of my mentors here at University of Lagos, distinct Professor Jide Alo said, there are two classes of professors. First class, those in one category, we call them Nigerian professors. They are here in Nigeria and they are known in Nigeria. But also have professors in Nigeria. They are only in Nigeria because they are in Nigeria, but everybody knows them all over the world. So those at Chrisland, I will say, are not Nigerian professors. I'm not saying this because I need to be defensive, because I was part of the process. Because the VC knows the UI standard, and she knows that we have to go through the process of external review. And I've had to read those reviews myself. So it's not a question of somebody walking to the answer. No. Anyone that was made professor in her time there at Chrisland, people can be assured that I endorsed the process that produced such people. So look at the College of Law. It's an addition to her portfolio. It's both an impact now. because now we have added the College of Law. She's also added the College of Health Sciences. And that of College of Law, the building there, and you know how much, what it costs to construct buildings in this economy. But we managed to pull off that feat. And in general terms, managing the extremely highly priced but scarce resources there, human resources, the financial resources, particularly her social capital, I think that is good. What people may not know now, which will become apparent, is that she's also had to do a lot of human management, having to work with a lot of people. And in the course of working as head of an organization, you cannot guarantee the character or behavior of everyone, that everybody will be above board. There will be people there that will really give you what people call a hell of a time. They give you a lot of stress. It is your ability to manage them that confirms whether you are a good leader or just a routine run-of-the-mill leader. And I will say with all sense of responsibility that she has been an asset to Chrisland University. She has done her parent university of Ibadan proud. She's a source of pride to her profession of pharmacy, and then of course to womanhood. And people don't also realize that she wears many caps. She's the wife of a high clergy in the Anglican Communion, and that's probably why she's HA. She has to leave now so that she focus, give more time and attention to her ministerial duties. In terms of her personal qualities, I alluded to that earlier on. I also need to emphasize that this is a top-rate scholar, a winner of grants. And I also need to place on record, based on my experience, that the longer she stayed at Chrisland, the greater her losses. Because all those years she should have been in active research, winning these grants. Sometimes you can win, a person of her caliber will win two or three grants at the same time and running them successfully. But she couldn't possibly do that while being a substantive vice chancellor. That she was able to make that sacrifice and was able to focus on her primary responsibility as an administrator and institution builder, I think is a great credit. So I've spoken about her impact now. I think that I should just leave the legacy for us to observe over the next 2 or 3 years, because you don't know the strength of a building until there is a storm or a flood or an earthquake. The one that stands is the one that has credibility. So let's wait for time to pronounce on her legacy. But we can now pronounce authoritatively on her impact. And the impact has been extremely, altogether positive.
Yes, I will say that whatever has a beginning must have to end at some point, and that on behalf of the Governing Council of Chrisland University, I wish Professor Peace Babalola all the best as she proceeds. I know that she has her job cut out for her as the wife of a bishop of a new bishopric, which is not even an urban bishopric. I know that. But I do know that since scholarship is ingrained in her, she will go back to the basic task of getting grants and then mentoring younger colleagues. She still has time to leave a legacy as a scholar. So she has to go back there and make up for the years she's lost. She needs to travel more, give lectures, write more papers, lead research teams, and so on and so forth. And I do envisage that in future, she's a potential candidate for the NNM, Nigeria National Order of Merit. In the meantime, I think that Nigeria should give her a due award as either Officer of the Order of the Niger, ON, or any other national honor, because she's actually been an outstanding vice chancellor. I know that there are other women vice chancellors, Alile Williams, the lady at Covenant. So for Professor Peace Babalola, I think that the future is very bright. She also probably will need to write her memoirs if she has time. I've written my memoirs, but I've not published them because I've not written my chapter on my Chrisland experience. But I've written everything on my headship of department, deanship, vice chancellorship, and this one also. So I think she needs to put her thoughts, her ideas, experiences on paper. And she needs to make herself available for consulting as a former vice chancellor who needs to mentor potential vice chancellors and new ones that are springing up now. And I do hope she's not tempted to take up the VC-ship of another university. She's certainly bigger than that. She could end up being the pro-chancellor, as I am now, of a private university, possibly not Chrisland. And I think that she needs to wrap up her years. In due course, she will retire. She must have a vision as to what she wants to do. And I also expect her to get a big grant, like Woodrow Wilson or Rockefeller or something, to take her away for 1 whole year, so that she now gets immersed or re-immersed in academics. So my final word about her is that she's a legend, and legends don't die.